The war between Earth and the Valeray Empire had lasted more than 10 years. Millions were dead. Whole cities had turned into dust. Both sides were tired, angry, and desperate. Captain Ethan Ross sat inside a cold cell, deep in the Valeray capital. His wrists were chained. His body hurt from the battle he had barely survived. He had been leading a small rescue mission when their ship was attacked. Most of his team was gone. Now he was the only human in a city filled with enemies. The door of his cell slid open. 2 tall guards in silver armor stepped in. Their skin was pale violet, their eyes glowing faintly blue. Without a word, they motioned for Ethan to follow. Ethan stood slowly. He was weak, but not broken. He kept his chin up as he walked through the dark halls, his boots echoing on the metal floor. Wherever he went, alien eyes watched him with cold judgment. He was led into a vast chamber filled with glowing pillars and strange floating lights. At the end stood a throne, and on it sat the ruler of the Valerie, Empire Queen Alira. She looked nothing like the monsters human soldiers told stories about. She was tall and graceful. Her long white hair shimmered like starlight. Her skin had the soft hue of a nebula, and her golden robes were embroidered with the signs of peace and war. Her presence was powerful, but not cruel. Ethan was pushed to his knees, but he stood back up slowly. "If you wanted me dead," he said calmly, "I'd already be gone." The queen studied him in silence. Then she stood and descended the stairs of her throne. "Captain Ethan Ross," she said. Her voice was calm, but there was weight behind her words. "You led the mission that destroyed our forward base on Sura 9? Ethan did not deny it. "We were ordered to take it out. It was being used to launch attacks on human colonies." Alira nodded slightly. "You are brave, loyal, and you care. For your people." Ethan narrowed his eyes. "Why am I here, Queen Alira? What do you want?" She looked him in the eyes. "I want peace," she said. He blinked. "Peace." She walked slowly around him. "This war has taken too much. I was crowned during fire. I have ruled during blood.
Ow.
I want to end this, but my people will not accept surrender." "Mine won't accept slavery," Ethan said. "Nor will I offer it." She stopped in front of him. Her gaze softened. Then, "How?" he asked, confused. She took a deep breath, then said something that nearly made his heart stop. "If you marry me, I can end the war." Ethan stared at her. He thought he had misheard. "What?" The queen didn't flinch. "A union. You and I, a marriage not of love, but of alliance. My people follow tradition, the old ways. There is a prophecy in Valari history one that speaks of a star-born bond between our kind and another, a bond that would bring lasting peace." Ethan shook his head. "You want me to believe a myth?" She stepped closer. "You are. Not just any human. You were born during the eclipse. You carry the mark of fire and sky. My seers believe you match the signs." He laughed bitterly. "You think some prophecy will make people drop their weapons?" "No," Alira said, her tone sharper now. "But I believe the symbol matters. The people need hope. They need a reason to stop fighting. If their queen unites with the enemy, shows strength, not surrender, my enemies will lose support. My soldiers will listen. The fighting can end." Ethan crossed his arms. "And Earth. You think my leaders will accept this?" "They will," she said simply, "because without peace, your side will lose. Slowly, painfully. You know this." Ethan said nothing. Shh. Deep down, he did know. Still, he looked at her with suspicion. "Why me? Why now?" Alira looked away for a moment. Then she answered quietly, "Because you're still alive. Because you showed mercy when others didn't. And because I'm running out of time." Silence filled the hall. Ethan felt the weight of her words. He had fought for so long lost friends, seen horror beyond imagination. Could this really be a way out? Could marrying an alien queen end the bloodshed? It sounded insane. But then, so did continuing a war that killed both sides for nothing. "If I say yes," Ethan said slowly, "what happens? You become my consort." My equal. The treaty is signed. I will call for a ceasefire within days. Earth will be given the terms. Fair ones. Shared trade. Open travel. No more blood. Ethan looked down. He thought of the burning cities, the soldiers who never came home, the people on both sides who just wanted to live. And if I say no? He asked. She paused. Then the war continues. And many more will die. He looked up. Her eyes met his. Not cold, not cruel, just tired. Like his own. A long silence passed between them. Finally, Ethan said, "If I marry you, I'll need more than promises. I'll need proof that your words are real." Illyra gave a small nod. "You shall have it. Starting now, your chains will be removed. You'll be treated as an honored guest, not a prisoner." At her signal, the guard stepped forward and unlocked his shackles. Ethan rubbed his wrists. He looked at her one last time. "I don't trust you," he said honestly. "You don't have to," Illyra replied. "Only walk beside me. The rest will follow." With that, she turned and began walking back toward her throne. Ethan stood, their heart pounding. A marriage to end a war? Was it madness? But in a universe filled with war, maybe madness was what peace needed. Captain Ethan Ross stood on a wide marble platform high above the capital city of Valor. From here, he could see the shining towers, floating ships, and glowing skies of the alien world. The Valari people walked below, watching the sky screens. Where his face was shown beside the Queen's, it was official now, in less than 2 weeks. He would become the husband of Queen Illyra, ruler of the Valari Empire. A human soldier marrying an alien queen sounded like a fairy tale or a bad joke. But this was no dream. The marriage was real, the risk was real, and the hope. Maybe that was real too. Ethan adjusted his stiff ceremonial collar and looked toward the silver doors. They opened slowly. Queen Illyra entered wearing a long robe of white and gold, her crown of light resting on her head. Her silver hair was braided, her face calm but unreadable. She walked with grace. But Ethan noticed the weight in her steps. "Are you ready for the first ceremony?" She asked him softly. "No," Ethan replied, "but I'm here." That made her smile just a little. They stood side by side as an alien priest began the joining ritual. It was not the final marriage that would happen soon, but today, they were declaring to both worlds that a new path was beginning. In front of thousands, Illyra spoke words in her native tongue. Ethan didn't understand them all, but her voice was steady, proud. Then it was his turn. He read from the prepared script, clear and strong. "I, Captain Ethan Ross of Earth, join Queen Illyra in the hope of peace. I do this not as a prisoner or enemy, but as a partner. May this bond end the war between our people." Cheers and mixed cries filled the air. Some cheered. Some booed. Many just watched in silence. The ceremony ended, and Illyra led Ethan through private doors into a quiet hall. The guards stayed behind. Ethan finally relaxed his shoulders. "I hate speeches," he muttered. Illyra gave a soft laugh. "You did." Well, they walk side by side now, as enemies, but not quite as partners either. Something in between. "I still don't know how Earth will react," Ethan said. "Some will call me a traitor." Illyra stopped and looked at him. "Then give them no reason to doubt you. Prove that this is not weakness. Show them it is strength. You believe that?" "I have to," she said, "or this will all fall." Apart, the days before the wedding, Ethan was given a guest room, huge, filled with strange glowing plants, curved walls, and soft lights that changed color with mood. He hated how soft the bed was. It felt like sinking into a cloud every morning. He trained with both human and Valori guards. Every afternoon, he attended meetings with alien nobles, diplomats, and military leaders. Most of them didn't trust him. Some even refused to look at him. One noble said to his face, "You are just a symbol, Captain. The Queen uses you to calm." "The weak you are nothing more," Ethan replied calmly. "Then maybe symbols are stronger than your guns." That shut the noble up. One day Illyra joined him for a walk through the palace gardens. Strange glowing flowers bloomed beside floating rocks and trees that whispered when wind touched them. "This place feels too peaceful for a palace during war," Ethan said. "It was built during peace, hundreds of years ago," Elira replied. "My ancestors never thought we'd fall so far." Ethan looked at her. "Do you ever regret becoming queen?" She didn't answer right away, then said, "I regret the things I've had to do. Yes. I don't regret trying to save my people." Day. Stopped by a small fountain. Elira reached down and let the water run through her fingers. "I wonder," she said softly, "if you and I had met before the war, would we have been friends?" Ethan didn't know what to say. Maybe, maybe not, but he answered honestly, "I think we would have understood each other." Assassins in the shadows the night before the final wedding ceremony. Ethan couldn't sleep. He stood on the balcony of his room, looking out at the stars. He missed Earth, the smell of trees, the sound of ocean waves, the faces of his fallen friends. He heard a noise behind him, too soft for a guard. He turned fast, just as a black-cloaked figure leaped toward him with a blade. Ethan blocked the strike with his arm. Pain shot through him, but he kicked the attacker back. Another figure came from the side. Ethan fought hard. Was injured, but trained. He disarmed one assassin. The other moved fast to fast. Then suddenly light flashed. Queen Elira burst into the room, her hands glowing with energy. She lifted one hand, and the second assassin was thrown across the wall. Stunned guards rushed in seconds later, capturing the attackers. Ethan leaned against the wall, breathing hard, blood running down his arm. Elira ran to him. "You're hurt. I've had worse," he said, trying to smile. "But thanks for saving me." She tore a piece of her robe and wrapped it around his wound, her hands shaking slightly. "They were from the Outer Council," she said angrily. "They want to destroy this union before it begins." Ethan looked into her eyes. For the first time, she wasn't the untouchable queen. She was a person. Someone scared, someone who cared. "You risked your life," he said. "So did you." She replied. The night before the vow later that night, Ethan sat across from Elira in her private dining hall. There was no one else, just quiet music, soft lights, and a table between them. "Do your people know what you're giving up?" Ethan asked. Elira took a sip from her crystal cup. "Some do. Most don't. I was promised to a noble house since birth. This marriage breaks that. Won't they rebel? Some already are. Then why keep going?" She looked at him. "Because I see something in you, Ethan. Not just hope for peace, but strength. The kind of strength we've forgotten." He was quiet for a long time. Then said, "I don't know how to be a husband to a queen, especially an alien one." "You don't have to know everything," she said softly. "Just stand beside me." He nodded slowly. "I can do that." The palace was silent, but the silence felt dangerous. After the assassination attempt, the entire capital of Valor was placed on high alert. Soldiers in silver armor guarded every hallway. Drone sentries circled the skies, and high command was now watching every move Ethan Ross made, not because they distrusted him, but because someone had tried to kill the future husband of the queen. The wedding was only 2 days away, and already felt like a war was starting inside the walls. Suspicion. In the palace, Ethan sat in a healing chamber as a medic wrapped his wounded arm. The slash from the assassin's blade still stung. But he didn't complain. Across from him stood Commander Vierick, the queen's military advisor. His face was sharp, his gaze colder than ice. "You fought well," Vierick said flatly. "It would have been easier if you hadn't been here in the first place." Ethan narrowed his eyes. "Is that how you thank someone who bled for your queen?" Vierick stepped forward. "You are a human. You are still the enemy in the minds of many. Some believe this marriage is foolish. Others believe it's a trap." Ethan stood. "And what do you believe?" The Valerie commander didn't answer. Instead, he said, "We caught 2 assassins. There are more. Maybe among our own. Maybe in your world. Be careful, Captain Ross. Some wars don't end with treaties." He turned and left without another word. Ethan sighed. He already knew that. He could feel the tension in the air. This peace, this marriage, it was not welcomed by everyone. And the real danger wasn't on the battlefield. It was here, in the palace halls, where every word could be a lie. And every smile could hide a knife. A risky journey, Queen Alira summoned Ethan to the council hall the next day. He entered the room to find a group of alien leaders arguing over a glowing map. "These are the provinces that haven't accepted the Union," one noble said. "They refuse to recognize a human as royal." "They are small factions," another replied, "but powerful. They control key regions." Ethan stepped beside Alira and asked, "What's going on?" She turned to him. "There are 5 regions on the edge of the empire. They are not openly against the marriage, but they've refused to show support. If we visit them before the wedding and win their loyalty, we may stop more blood from spilling." "You want us to travel there?" Ethan asked. She nodded. "It will be dangerous, but it must be done. Together." Ethan didn't hesitate. "Then let's go." A queen and a soldier among the people, their ship a sleek Valeray cruiser flew low over mountain ridges, ice valleys, and floating islands. The first stop was the province of Nearith, a land known for its ancient traditions and powerful warriors. As soon as the ship landed, crowds gathered. Some watched with interest. Others frowned and turned away. Alira stepped forward and gave a speech in the Valari language. Ethan stood beside her, silent, proud. Later, in a private hall, he met the local governor, an old Valari woman with silver markings on her face. "You ask us to bless this union," she said, "but you bring a human into our sacred lands. You expect us to bow to someone who once burned our forests?" Ethan spoke up, his voice calm. "I didn't come here to rule you. I came to help end a war that's killing us all. I'm not asking for your love, just your courage to take the first step." There was silence. Then the old woman stood and said, "You speak like a warrior, not a conqueror, perhaps." Perhaps the queen chose wisely. Just like that, the first province accepted the marriage. An act of heroism. Their next stop was more dangerous. In the province of Zareth, tensions were higher. Protesters stood near the landing zone. Soldiers watched Ethan's every move. During a short speech, a hidden bomb exploded near the crowd. Panic followed, screams, smoke, people running. Ethan didn't think. He jumped into action, pulling a small Valari child out of the blast zone, shielding her with his body. The child cried, but was unharmed. Photos of the moment spread across the Valari. News grids within hours. "A human saves our child," the headlines read. For the first time, Ethan's face was not shown as an enemy, but as a hero. That single act changed everything. 2 more provinces accepted the Union the next day. A message from Earthback aboard the cruiser.
Alira
Entered Ethan's chamber holding a small communicator. "Message came from Earth," she said quietly. Ethan sat up. "From who?" "General Hart, the commander of your Earth fleet." Ethan took the device. The screen flickered. Face of an old war-hardened man appeared. "Captain Ross," the general said, "we received word of your marriage plans." Ethan held his breath. "I'm not here to stop you, but you must understand, this alliance is fragile. Many back on Earth believe the Valari are tricking us. They believe you've been turned." Ethan replied calmly. "Haven't. I'm doing this to stop the killing." "Then prove it," the general said. "We're sending a small Earth ship to attend the wedding. If they see you stand with the Queen, maybe they'll believe in peace." "Understood, sir." The message ended. Alira looked at Ethan. "You see, even your world's doubts. They'll come around," he said. "If I survive long enough." Betrayal in the shadows. As they returned to the capital, the palace was in unrest. A high-ranking advisor minister, Zeril, who had smiled at Ethan during many meetings, was arrested. He was caught communicating with rebel factions. Ethan watched from a balcony as guards dragged Zeril away. "He was close to you," Ethan said to Alira. She nodded slowly. "I trusted him. He sat at my table. He advised me on this union." "Then why did he betray you?" "'Cause peace scares people," Alira replied. "It threatens their power. Their hate gives them purpose." Ethan looked at her. "How do you still trust anyone?" "I don't," she said. "Not fully." but I choose to believe some are worth the risk. She looked at him then, her eyes softer than before. You saved a child. You faced bombs and blades. You've earned more trust than most who call themselves Velari. Ethan felt a strange warmth in his chest. Not love, not yet, but something close to it. The final night before the wedding, that night. The city prepared for the biggest event in its history. Thousands of lights floated in the sky, human and Velari. Guests filled the capital. Earth's ship entered orbit, carrying diplomats, observers, and military leaders. In her private chamber, Queen Eliara stood in front of a mirror. Her wedding robes were being prepared, robes of light and history. Ethan stood in the doorway, unsure if he should speak. You look like a real queen, he finally said. She turned, smiled. And you look like someone ready to change the galaxy. He walked closer. We're almost there, he said. Yes. Are you afraid? Yes, she admitted. Me too. They stood in silence. Then Alira said, After tomorrow, nothing will ever be the same. Ethan nodded. The old way wasn't working. And for the first time, they shared something deeper than duty. A bond born not from blood, but from sacrifice. The morning sun painted the skies of Valar with golden light. The city buzzed with anticipation. The wedding day had arrived, but beneath the surface, tension coiled like a serpent ready to strike. Ethan Ross stood on the balcony of the royal palace. His arms still bore scars from past battles, but his eyes were steady and focused. Next to him, Queen Elira adjusted her ceremonial robes. She looked radiant, a shining symbol of hope for two warring worlds, yet both knew this day would test everything. The arrival of Earth's fleet in orbit above Valar, a fleet of Earth ships gathered. Their commanders watched the capital through bright windows, their faces a mixture of hope and skepticism. The largest ship, Dauntless, lowered a shuttle carrying Earth's top diplomats and military leaders. They were here to witness the union. A historic moment that could change the course of the war. Ethan was aware of their eyes on him, some judging, some waiting for him to fail. He swallowed his nerves. This is not just my fight, he told Elira. It's ours. She nodded. Together, we will show them peace is stronger than war. The wedding begins. The great hall of the palace was filled with thousands. Valaree nobles, human diplomats, soldiers from both sides, and citizens who had come to witness history. The air was heavy with expectation and fear. Elira walked down the aisle, her white and gold robes flowing like sunlight. Ethan stood tall at the altar, waiting. The ceremony began with ancient Velari chants, echoes of a time when peace was possible, when it was Ethan's turn. He took Elira's hand and promised to stand with her, not just as a husband, but as a partner in building a future. The crowd held its breath. A deadly betrayal. Suddenly, alarms blared. Outside the palace, rebel ships appeared in the sky, black and swift. A group of traitors had launched an attack, intending to stop the wedding. To destroy hope itself, chaos erupted. Ethan grabbed Elira's hand. We have to get to safety. Guards rushed them through secret passages. Explosions shook the walls. Ethan fought off attackers with his combat training. Protecting Elira as they moved, they reached a hidden chamber beneath the palace, an ancient vault holding secrets of Valar. History, a secret revealed. Heavily, Elira activated the vault's holographic records. She said, These are the records of our ancestors, before the war began. They tell of a great alliance between Valar and another species, humans. Ethan stared, amazed. Why hide this? For fear of losing power, Elira replied. For centuries, hate kept the Valar united. Peace was a threat. Thief touched the glowing images, battles, treaties, celebrations, a history of friendship lost to time. We can restore this, he said. Elira smiled faintly. Together, the final battle, the rebels broke into the vault. Ethan and Elira stood back to back, fighting side by side. Their enemies were fierce, but Ethan's human instincts and Elira's alien powers made them a deadly pair. blades clashed. Energy blasts lit the dark halls. Just when it seemed they would be overwhelmed, reinforcements arrived, loyal Valari soldiers led by Commander Virik. With a final push, the rebels were defeated. Peace at last, as the sun set. The palace was calm again. The wedding ceremony resumed. This time with a deeper meaning, Ethan and Alira stood before their people. United by love, courage, and hope, Lyra said, "This union is not just for us. It is for every soul tired of war. For every child who dreams of peace." Ethan added, "We will rebuild." Together, the crowd erupted in cheers. A new beginning in the days that followed. Peace talks began between Earth and Valar. Ethan was named Earth's ambassador to Valar, symbol of the new alliance. Elira ruled. With wisdom and strength, guided by her partnership with Ethan, though challenges remained, future looked brighter. Two species, once enemies, now stood side by side. And in that unity, humanity's true strength was revealed. The days after the wedding were filled with hope and heavy responsibility. Captain Ethan Ross felt the weight of two worlds on his shoulders. He had become more than a soldier. He was now a symbol of peace and unity. Queen Alira stood by his side, her calm strength a guiding light. A test of loyalty, the new alliance between Earth and Valar was fragile. Many still doubted it would last. At the first peace summit, leaders from both sides gathered in the grand hall of the Vaelari capital. Tensions ran high. Some Earth diplomats whispered that Ethan had been fooled. Some Valari nobles grumbled that the queen had given away too much. During the talks, sudden power failure plunged the hall into darkness. Shouts and confusion followed. When the lights returned, a group of armed rebels had taken over part of the building. Ethan and Elira quickly organized a defense, working with guards and soldiers together. They fought off the attackers. Their unity and courage inspired everyone present. The power of unity after the attack. Ethan spoke to both sides. "We survived because we stood together. If we fight as enemies, we will only destroy ourselves. But if we choose peace, we can build a future worth living." Lyra nodded. "Our ancestors once stood united. We can do the same again." The leaders agreed to continue talks with new hope. Building bridges, Ethan traveled between Earth and Valar. Acting as ambassador and mediator, he worked to ease old fears, break down barriers, and create new friendships. He met with soldiers, scientists, artists, and ordinary people from both species. Slowly, trust grew. A future forged together months later. A joint Earth-Valar project launched. Space station to explore new worlds and defend against common threats. Ethan and Alira attended the opening ceremony as they stood together. Hand in hand, their eyes met. No words were needed. They had chosen each other, and through that choice, they had chosen peace. The legacy of a marriage years passed. The war became a distant memory. Earth and Valar traded goods, culture, and ideas. Children of mixed heritage, half human, half Valari, played in city parks. Ethan and Alira's story became a legend told to inspire hope, and in the hearts of many. The message was clear. When enemies choose to stand together, they become unstoppable.